Now, in the past few years, 15 to 20,000 Syrians have found refuge in Armenia, the overwhelming majority of them of Armenian origin. Now, most of them fled Syria amid increased targeting of ethnic minorities. The Armenian government has actually welcomed them with open arms, offering them help and administrative support. But for some, the transition has been difficult. The language barrier, the difficulty in finding a job, Armenia's poor economic situation, and as well, of course, the trauma of leaving everything behind. Well, Ashran Verdian and Natalia Ruiz-Giraldo travelled to Yerevan to meet some of those whose lives have been turned upside down.
Serap and Alin can walk down the street without having to worry about bombs and snipers. These ethnic Armenians, former residents of Aleppo in Syria, moved to Yerevan with their children and parents 6 years ago. They have few mementos from their time in Syria, among them expired passports and these pictures of happier times.
All of these pictures were taken in Syria. This picture was from Easter. That's it. That's all we have left.
Initially supposed to be short-lived, their exile to Armenia quickly became permanent.
In August 2012, trouble had already begun in Syria, but Aleppo had been more or less spared, especially the neighborhood my husband worked in. So we said to ourselves, all right, let's go on a small holiday. So we took the car and came here to Yerevan. But we kept an eye on the news and we noticed the situation was only getting worse. My parents even called to say, don't even think about coming back. Your neighborhood has become really dangerous. And that's how we ended up staying here.
In Yerevan, the family found peace and security, and the Armenians in Armenia have welcomed them like brothers and sisters. But there are numerous obstacles to living in Armenia. The unemployment rate has hit 20% in recent years, and around a third of the country lives under the poverty line. Serap, who managed a business in Aleppo, now works odd jobs, and the family who used to own several homes lives in this small rental.
I spent my entire life in Aleppo. I knew all the rules. I knew how to make my business thrive, but when we arrived here, it was a completely different world.
Helping our children continue their education was a headache. We got here and we didn't know the rules. We didn't know which school was best for them. It wasn't the same in Syria. I was a teacher there. I knew everyone. But when we got here, nothing was done to help us.
But since the first wave of refugees arrived, things have changed. Several NGOs and associations now help Syrian Armenians. Among them, the Armenian General Benevolent Union, where Talar works. Her organization has collected millions of euros from the Armenian diaspora since 2012. The money has gone to help integrate Syrian refugees in Armenia.
We've just received this donation from a French benefactor. We will soon start distributing these clothes to Syrian Armenians. They're winter clothes, so it's all very timely.
And on top of this emergency aid, the organization acts in a wide range of areas. Their goal is to ensure Syrian Armenians stay here permanently.
We give out 450 to 500 university scholarships to Syrian students so that they can continue their studies here. We also help farmers, specifically Syrian Armenians who came from the northeastern part of the country. They've moved to some of our villages here, and we give them tractors and tools.
There is also a clinic in this building. Syrian Armenian refugees can come here for free medical treatment. This couple witnessed war firsthand. They arrived in Armenia 6 months ago, and the trauma has yet to wear off.
These 5 years of war have left us deeply scarred. Our house was completely destroyed. My father was there that day. He barely managed to escape before bombs fell on our house, and it completely collapsed. Here in Armenia, I suffer from stress and anxiety, so I came to see Dr. Darakjan. He says he'll put me on medication.
Dr. Darakjian is also from Syria. The cardiologist took care of the Armenian community in Aleppo for 35 years. Him being here is a comfort to refugees.
Anybody comes here, I know their parents, their grandparents. I know all of them because I used to work with them. So they come here because they are feeling at home here. We are speaking the same language with them. We know their problems, their difficulties.
Armenian authorities have also provided support for refugees for obvious humanitarian reasons, but helping them stay in Armenia in the long run is also a way to compensate for the hundreds of thousands who left the country, especially since the fall of the Soviet Union.
At the beginning of the war, they had to get some visas, for example, in Syria, but we made the process easier so they can get it in the Armenian border. So employees of Ministry of Diaspora, they hold their hands, Syrian Armenians, and go to the institutions where they should get, I don't know, health support, educational.
In the eyes of many Syrian refugees, this sounds like a dream, but the hardships encountered by refugees in Armenia have led to many of them seeing the country as a transit point before permanently settling down in Europe, the US, or Canada. Out of the 18,000 Syrian Armenians to have moved here since 2012, only about 7,000 of them have remained in Armenia.